Alright, I may have a plant problem, but if I went to a plant intervention group, we'd probably just end up exchanging seeds. That's okay though. Sure, there have been quite a few murders so far, most of them plants, but seeing all this green in the middle of the winter helps. Plant number 1. This was started at the beginning of January. I have been topping it periodically to create a more bushy plant, and it's doing quite well. I will say though, the citrus flavor has actually lessened as it's grown. Orange yellow thyme. In this tent we have curly-leaf parsley and flat-leaf parsley, desperately in need of water. These only need to be transplanted to bigger containers soon. Lemongrass started at the beginning of January of 2026. I've got 4 of these going. My hope is to harvest a lot more this year for teas primarily. Here's another orange yellow. I'm just going to do a little bit of topping here. Topping very simple. Cut the top of the leaves where they meet up and side shoots will come out. That is a terrible explanation, but I am not a teacher. Here we go. Oh, that was completely off screen probably, but there's a piece. Proof. I've also got a lonely looking ginger. She's growing, not much though. Got another one in my other tent, which is doing much better than this one. Better to have 2 than 1 though. Soil is quite dry. I've always had fairly bad luck starting rosemary seeds. I did get 1 to sprout. Everything's hardening up. Usually I just use straight up peat from ProMix with a little perlite in it, but I suspect I used some of my soil that I had already added nutrients to. Fertilizer. This is not an issue for existing plants, but for new plants it kind of makes things a bit crusty, unfortunately. But we'll see what happens. At least I've got 1. Next item, thyme. This is either French or English thyme. I'll have to recheck the packaging. I've also got some German winter thyme that was started more recently. So we'll see. See which one has the most interesting flavor. I'm really enjoying trying out the different types of herbs and the different subspecies of herbs like lemon thyme, orange thyme, winter thyme, German thyme. There's a lot of thyme. All the time in the world. This thyme was started on February 25th. And over here, these are lemon mints. I grow them more because of the flowers. Very pretty flower on these. Over here are some more assorted herbs. There's some mint here. Actually, hold on. Nope, that's oregano. This is mint. More mint, and a bunch of more oregano. These all need to be trimmed up a bit to help leaf out the growth. It's been done a few times already. We'll do it some more. This is the chocolate-covered cherry coleus. Another plant had been started in early December. Doing well. No topping yet, though. Probably soon. Just to see how it does, this one was started January 24th. Or these 3 were started January 24th. They're doing quite well. Coreopsis. I have several of these plants going. They look a little shady right now, but they will look better as they get going. These are perennial plants. Certain flowers can flower at different periods of time. They don't all need to flower at the same time. So I'm trying to adjust when I start things to make sure that I have an abundance of flowers early in the season as well as late in the season. But it doesn't have to be all the flowers early and late in the season. Focus on the flowers that handle the different climates the best. I've got about 5 of these going. These are hollyhocks, Antwerp. These were started at the beginning of January. January 13th to be precise. Specifically because I'm hoping to get them to flower the first season. Usually these won't flower until the second season. But if you start them early enough, sometimes you get lucky. These are white pansies. They were started on January 22nd. Again, they were originally sown in individual containers because the seeds are so tiny, but they were later transplanted into this mushroom container for easy transplanting later. And now the snapdragons. I've got quite a few of these. There's more, but they are currently elsewhere. So I've got about 6 of these yogurt containers of snapdragons, in addition to a full tray of about 18 plants. So I have a lot of snapdragons. These will be probably great in pots. Pre-shaped, easy to transplant, easy to give to people. They've all been, I mean, not every single plant in here, but most of these have been topped at least once in order to create some more side shoot growth. These were all started in late January. Another set was actually started in early January. Recently topped snapdragons, at least some of them, have been repotted in new containers. I used some root hormone powder, nothing fancy, just some expired. This expired like 3 years ago, but if it does anything, it still does it. Anyways, a little bit of that on it. Put them in soil. I am making sure to occasionally mist the leaves because they can't really absorb water the normal way right now because their roots are cut off. But so far it's been almost a week, and they're all doing quite well. They were looking a little bit more raggedy, but now they're looking better. I've also got another 6 in the other area of my grow room, and they are currently in a Ziploc bag to see if they work better that way. Johnny Jump Up Violas, these were started on February 15th. Got 2 trays of those. Overdue for a transplant, some wild bergamot, started on January 24th. Bells of Ireland, these were started on January 21st, or rather the seeds were put in the fridge on January 21st, and around February 20th the seeds were planted. I'm really looking forward to these ones. I've tried growing them in the past, but none of the seeds sprouted, or the few that did died very briefly. They've never actually gotten this far. My only concern is that these apparently have a taproot, so we'll see how they handle transplant. But this is already progress over last year. Hopefully they make it outside. And now for a pansies, matrix mix pansies. So these are all just going to be assorted colored pansies. You need a watering. These are toothache plants. The flowers will numb your mouth if you chew on them. And they're cool looking plant too. They look like little yellow eyeballs, so I'm looking forward to this one. This should be pretty fun. Another interesting one, the painted daisy here. Though it does come back as a regular white daisy, at least from my experience. The first year on these is pretty nice. Really nice variety of colors, some yellows, some browns, oranges, reds. Very pretty. But no rhizomes, as far as I know, for this variety, but they definitely seed. More petunias. This is before I knew this variety is going to get gigantic, but I have family and friends that will happily take some of these. Next item, petunias. Petunias again. These were started on January 22nd. So I started them too early. They're already getting ready to flower. Now the one good news is I can just top those, cut those off, and it'll allow me to identify what color each of these are, because there's red, white, blue, purple, so there's several colors going on. So if I can isolate these, there's multiple plants in here, and petunias, allegedly, do not mind having their roots disturbed, so that's what I'm going to be doing. For now, it just needs a bit of a watering. Speaking of watering, gazanias. This is a mix of different gazania colors. Started on January 24th. I can't even get a good shot of these. There's so many. There we go. Pretty little flower. Alyssum. Purple alyssum, and I believe there's some white alyssum in there somewhere. This is not supposed to be flowering yet. So I started, these have been topped multiple times. Started these a bit too early, I think. Mid-February next year. Although I probably said that last year. It's too exciting. Can't stop myself. Oh look, it's more alyssum. Yes, that's right. All the alyssum. Pak choys, these are only here so I can eat them. They're not going to go outside. I've tried growing pak choy outside and it bolts as soon as it even thinks of the sun. Roselle hibiscus. Two of these plants. I'm growing these because they look interesting, but also for purposes of tea. That's right, more snapdragons. Over there, a lot more snapdragons. Here's an interesting time-lapse of snapdragons. Maybe it's not interesting because I haven't looked at the snapdragon time-lapse as of the recording of this particular text, so apologies if it's boring and unexciting. Snapdragons in a bag. Oh, hello. They're going okay. And now over here we have Sky Commish tomato. This was started on February 21st. I had also attempted to start a Paul Robson tomato, but those seeds didn't take for some reason. Most of my tomato plants are started in late March, but I like starting a few of them a bit earlier. Sky Commish tomato, by the way, is a good, delicious tomato. And then this corner over here, a Paul Robeson tomato. These were seeds harvested last year. They took a little while to get going, but it's growing now, so I'm happy to see that. Just give it a little bit of water. This Paul Robeson just sprouted this morning, or yesterday, but the shell was stuck on it. So, King of the North. 6 plants started. Well, 6 seeds remain alive. It's doing quite well. Started on February 15th of 2026. Next set of peppers also started on February 15th. I've got one ahi white, which is probably going to be ahi yellow. Got a couple of cayenne seeds here. These seeds are from 2021. They did take about 5 days longer than the other seeds to sprout. And on this side, I've got some jalapeno plants. The seeds for these jalapenos are from 2025 plant harvest, and the plant that was harvested was from a 2022 seed harvest. So these would be second generation home jalapeno seeds. Some brassicas. These were started on March 4th, so they've only recently sprouted. Red cabbage, self-blanching cauliflower, and gypsy broccoli. I have not had luck with growing larger cabbages or cauliflower at all, which I tried growing cabbages and cauliflower for the first time last year. I did not have any luck with them. It got too hot by the time they started heading up or forming flowerets, and they just went to heck. So I'm starting these ones about a month earlier than last year. Hopefully it will give us enough time. And broccoli gypsy, this is an F1 broccoli, which is apparently a bit more tolerant of heat, so we're starting them early, but I'm hoping to try these repeatedly as the season goes on. And they do have some side shoots, I believe, so that'll be good too. So far I've only successfully grown Catarina cabbage, so I'm hoping this year with more lead time that I can get more cabbage going, because I love my sauerkraut. Back over here we have a Lesia pepper, which I know it looks bad right now because the leaves are a bit, you know, doing their thing when they get too much heat, but every year the Lesia does this to me, so I'm not too worried about it. It's still growing, it's giving me some new buds, some new leaves, so I'm not particularly worried about it. Back here, there is, right over here, there is some celery, Utah tall and tango celery. They need watering, which is why they're a bit droopy right now, but they've been doing well. Probably due for a transplant soon. I don't necessarily need to stop starting everything so early. I need to start starting less. Maybe start 1 or 2 celeries in January instead of 8. But baby steps, we're getting there, figuring it out. Year 6, I got ways to go. And over here back there, that is a Tavor artichoke, started in early January. I'm gonna need to make sure it gets at least 2 weeks of cold weather, not freezing, but not really above 10 degrees Celsius, in the hopes of promoting fruiting the first season. Karantan leeks. These are leeks. I haven't tried this variety before, so we'll find out what they're like this year. Got some DiMaggio white onions here. These are tasty. It's the only onion I've really grown a couple years in a row. It's a nice white onion. Some shallots. These are my own home seeds. These were actually started on January 1st, so quite a while ago. Stems are starting to thicken up a little bit, which is nice to see. I did top these. All of my onions have been topped, primarily because they were just getting too scraggly. I don't have an opinion either way in terms of topping your onions, but they just were not manageable anymore. And spread out throughout the tent, a couple of containers of Hoshiko green onions. These are nice. They have a good strong flavor to them. So far, one of my favorites. Green onions. They are not perennial, at least over here, unfortunately. I do have a Welsh white parade onion, or red parade, I forget which one. That one is perennial, and those green onions come back every year. Although the flavor is fairly mild, but still tasty. And this is a Lesia pepper, started on January 20th. Interesting leaf formation here. It's kind of like grown in a different pattern. These are my own saved seeds, 2nd generation, so I do expect the likelihood that there will be some mutations. We'll see what happens fruit-wise. This is the Lechauer paprika. This is a slightly spicy paprika, milder than jalapeno, but just a hint of spice. It's got the traditional paprika orange color. It's great as a spice powder. Aji Amarillo, started on January 19th. This is actually the smallest of my pepper plants, despite being started at the same time as most of my pepper plants. So interesting to note. This scraggly looking plant is Pasilla Bayo. I have not grown this one before. I don't know if this is how it should be growing, but historically my pepper plants have always grown funkily. Historically my plants have grown weirdly, but once they get outside, everything kind of goes back to normal. It's hard to control the climate perfectly in a location like this. Despite having a bunch of things to manage, climate, not always predictable. A mulatto pepper. Grew this last year. The few peppers I didn't ruin by a bad fermentation ended up making a tasty little sauce. So I'll be growing those again. Aleppo plant, started on January 19th. This was, a dead leaf here, but it's okay. This was grown last year. I was a fan of the peppers, similar to jalapeno, so I'm going to grow them again this year in a proper container to see what kind of harvest I can get out of them. Jalapeno peppers, similar to the Lesia that I started earlier on. I want to see what kind of amount of peppers I get out of this plant versus one started at the end of January. And that's it for now. There's a lot of plants in here, and I have not mentioned each one of these individually, but it's just duplicates of other it's duplicates of other plants I've already mentioned. And in a few weeks I will be starting my tomatoes, some more flowers. It's gonna get wild. Luckily I've got another space to grow even more plants, and some of these plants can start going out in April. alyssums can handle some cold. Some of the spices, herbs can handle cold. Snapdragons, cold weather. Cabbages. Other brassicas, onions. So yeah, there'll be a lot more space here soon, which will be taken up by something else. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Au revoir.